So there's a story. There's a kind of a running story about him having an altercation or kind of lack thereof with with Bad News Brown. With
I didn't know that.
with Bad News Allen, in Canada, and so there was a story that went like no one messed with Andre, and there was one time where Bad News Brown, I think they were on the plane or somewhere, and Bad News Brown kind of called him out. And so, there's a story that has been, gone on for a number of years. I'm just interested to know who was on that plane to kind of validate and verify. I'm sure someone was.
And I remember that altercation. I remember the being going around, but Andre wasn't a fighter.
Really?
Andre wasn't a fighter. He didn't want trouble with anybody. He just lived his gimmick, and he did his gimmick. I'll tell you how strong he was. I thought you were coming up with the Ted Arcidi thing. Do you remember a guy called Ted Arcidi?
Yeah, he was strongman, wasn't he?
Strongman, but he in Australia, he got up in the bus and he started to talk loud to the Giant, and the Giant just looked at him and gave him a look, and it was the end of it. I never heard of Andre the Giant having problems, really. I remember one story because he was always doing his own thing, and he was so good for the business, an asset to the business that everybody respected him, like Hogan and everybody else. But I remember one time, I'll tell you a story that's pretty wild. I got to tell you the truth, I wasn't there, but it's a true story. It's in Montreal that it happened, in Quebec, northern Quebec. There was 4 guys in a bar that went to I don't know, maybe they had too much to drink, and they decided to go and, like you said, try him out or call him out.
Yeah.
But the guy slapped Andre, like he slapped him to provoke him. Mm-hmm. And when Andre got up in the bar, the guy just looked at he just couldn't believe what had happened. And he started running. And when he got outside, he jumped in. I don't know if you know a car called a Volkswagen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the guy jumped in the Volkswagen, and Andre just took the car and he flipped it on the top. I swear to God, as God may strike me, that's a true story. It comes from different people everywhere in Quebec. And there was a time it was in the years when my father and my uncle had the business. Mm-hmm. But just to show how strong he was. And another story that I heard, he was one of the only guys that could pick up a car battery, like with one hand, like, pick up a battery. Hey, I've picked up a few batteries with my 2 hands. And,
the handle.
I don't really have some bad things to say about Andre. I just want to thank all the years that he gave to the business and what he brought to the business, like Hulk and like those guys that were just amazing. They were just wonders, but they drew money. I could just picture Andre the Giant in Japan. How much he must have been looked at over there, because in those years, in the 70s, the 80s, the tall guys in Japan, there weren't too many.
I saw a match with him and Inoki. He was really agile in Japan. He would do all types of moves, and
my father worked for Inoki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my father worked for Inoki. He was a big name in the Japan. Inoki.
Yeah, sure was. Absolutely, yeah. So Andre, there's another story of him having some heat with the Ultimate Warrior. I don't know if you ever heard about that. Yeah, there was some.
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior had a lot of heat with Andre. You mean?
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior had a lot of heat with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior was a guy who he was hard to work with in the ring, and he had an attitude like he was one of the most important things that happened in the business when he came, and I was there in those days, and I remember, but never Ultimate Warrior got up in front of Andre or tried to. As a matter of fact, I think Ultimate Warrior was very afraid that Andre would make a move.
Yeah.
I heard another story about you're talking about a little bit of heat there. I don't know how it finished. Maybe you heard about it. Big John Studd. You remember them? You heard of the feud they had, those two? Because I heard Andre didn't. I think Andre was a little jealous of Big John Studd being so big. So I think there was a little heat there. You're stepping into my gimmick there. Big John. But,
it's really sad to see, just kind of his career. You kind of saw it kind of dwindle down, because even around 87, around WrestleMania 3, that was really going to be the passing of the torch. You know what I mean? Because he was just so hurt. He was just like his limbs, his body was just hurting. He
Mentally.
was, he was just reaching the end of his career. And so, he really kind of passed the torch to Hogan at that time. He stayed around, he kind of revived his career a little bit, teaming with Haku with the Colossal Connection. They ended up winning the tag titles, so that was a big thing for him. But toward the end of his career, he made a couple appearances here and there, but it really kind of dwindled down because it just kind of felt like he was just so hurt. He just seemed really hurt.
He had a couple of good friends in the business, and one of them was that he really, really liked was Arnold Skolin. He was an agent, and he used to play crib with me and him all the time, but he was an older man, Arnold Skolin, a very, very wise man, and he liked him a lot. He had a friend also that lived with him in North Carolina because he had a ranch with horses in North Carolina. His name was Frenchie. I don't know if you ever heard of Frenchie. He was his right-hand man there, just about. He took care of his business. And when Frenchie died, that took a big piece away from Andre. And then not long before Andre died, I think it was a year before, he lost his father. And it's when his father died in France, that was really the end. He went home and he was like he didn't die long after that, if you look into that. So he had a sad ending. Reminds me a lot of, just like that, Edouard Carpentier. Edouard Carpentier, one of the greatest athletes that brought Andre into wrestling and all that. He was so well liked, Edouard Carpentier, really a wrestler that would be open to the fans, close to the fans and everything. And he died in his place in Montreal, Edouard Carpentier, where no friends, no fans, no family, no more medias, no more click, 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 and no more stories. And I think there's a lot of people, and not only in our business, that have a problem dealing with the fame, and coming out of all that. And but anyway, I just for the book and the record, from my little age, young to the day he passed away, Andre the Giant will have a big, big place in my heart.
That's right, boss.
Boss. But and we played for money,
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, I didn't make any money with him.
Good stuff. Well, this is another episode of Inside SKoop. He's Jacques Rougeau. I'm Dr. Chris Featherstone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you, Doc.